Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, with a St. Paddy's Day reading. Now, I initially wasn't going to do that, and I thought, no, I have to do a St. Paddy's Day. Do I have a little Irish? I do, kind of like everybody, got a little Irish. When I did, and how did they lump it together? I don't know if they do British/Irish. Anyway, in my ancestry DNA analysis, that did come up. But how would I say? The heritage that we know of is Scottish. So. And that's fairly strong. And, I would say, many people are charmed by, enthusiastic about the cultures in the British Isles and Ireland. And usually Ireland specifically. And I was realizing my very first deck was a Celtic themed deck. But I do not have anything like that now. I have the Llewellyn, but that's very specifically Welsh. And I have the next thing, which has a leprechaun in it, is Guide to the Fairy Ring. But that is very much a deck about connecting with Fae energy. And I may do a second video, a St. Paddy's Day video, that is about Fae. Maybe I'll come up with some sort of four-leaf clover spread or set of questions or something. But what I turned to was 365 Tarot Spreads by Sasha Graham. On March 17th, of course, she has St. Patrick's Shamrock Spread. And I'm going to read you hers, what she did, but I'm going to do something different. So, what she has is, the Shamrock Spread uses the concept of three to inform its questions. Oh, excuse me. Using the Holy Trinity of Christianity, for one set of three, and then the second set of three is the three jewels of Buddhism, and then the third set of three is the goddess of Wicca. Alright, and using those three sets of three, you look into various aspects of your identity. Alright, so number one is the Father. How do I relate to my Father? Number two, Son. How am I different from my Father? 3, Holy Ghost, what is my mystery? So that's for the Christian Trinity. For the three jewels of Buddhism, we have Buddha, what is my highest spiritual potential? 2, Dharma, how can I follow a path to enlightenment? 3, Sangha, I don't know how to say that. What does community mean to me? So there's the Buddhism, and now for the goddess, the Wiccans, Maiden, Mother, and Crone. So Maiden, how do I differ from my mother? Mother, how do I relate to my mother? And Crone, what is my destiny? So interesting, but more involved than I wanted to do, and actually a little more spiritual than I wanted to do. So one of the things that was interesting as she talks about this in the beginning, she says, on this day, St. Patrick's Day celebrates the anniversary of the death of St. Patrick, kidnapped, sold into slavery, escaping, then receiving religious training. St. Patrick returned to Ireland in 432 CE as a missionary. Upon his return, he explained the concept of the Holy Trinity to the uneducated public using the shamrock as an allegory. So that's all very interesting. But what's interesting to me, I think there's a lot of stories behind St. Patrick. is he the person who drove out the snakes or something like that also? So that's an interesting idea to play with for a spread as well. But I don't think I'd known that he was kidnapped, sold into slavery, and then escaped. And escaping, then receiving religious training, which it makes it sound like, and I'm not going to look this up online to verify the historical accuracy or anything like that, or the details. But it sounds like when he escaped, he did not return to Ireland. Maybe he couldn't, maybe he didn't know how, but he didn't return to Ireland. But either that or he was in Ireland and then he left for the religious training. I'm not clear on that. But it's all very interesting. And in my Scottish heritage, one of the things my mother learned when she went to Scotland and she looked into these things, and we are part of the Gordon clan, and supposedly the founding member, and this is not, passed on by my mother many years ago, so I may not be remembering this correctly. If you know about the Gordon clan, maybe you can give me some clarity on this. Or anyway, the idea was that clan, that it was initiated by a person who was kidnapped, sold into slavery, and then returned with a wife and founded the Gordon clan. So that scenario was interesting to me. So that's what I want to focus on. And what I've gotten here is the Sol Invictus, the God Tarot. That's the one way that I am acknowledging his religious, the religious aspect of St. Patrick. And this was a deck created by someone who is British, so, which I know is not the same as Irish. I know, but at least it's closer than the U.S. And yes, I could have maybe used the Wildwood Tarot, but I still have a fitful relationship with the Wildwood Tarot. So here we go. My questions are essentially going to be, and I'm just going to ask about me. What has kidnapped me? How can I escape? How can I escape? No, zipper. How can I escape? And then I want to do something to do with training, the training aspect. I don't know. What training do I need? Or kind of like what, how about this? What training is important for my evolution? What training is important for, I should be writing it down, because you know I'll forget it. By the time I get to question number 3, I will have forgotten it. Okay, so number 1. I would say who, how, or what has kidnapped me. I was outside I've been outside for a little bit in the evening, and allergies, it's like allergy attack immediately. Alright, how do I escape? And 3, can I remember what 3 was as far as the training? Is it what training? Let me say this. I'll have to listen to my video again to see what my initial thing was. But what training is important I'm going to say is an important step. I don't know. Or would be an important step for my, I'm going to say personal development. Okay. So, number one is staring at me right here. Arrows. Oh my gosh. So, who, how, or what has kidnapped me? The Awakening of Wands. Arrows. That is hilarious. Because I think, I mean, really, at this point, I'm like the desireless woman. I don't have any desire. But, of course, look at the imagery here. I think this might not be our traditional expectation for arrows. You know, something is burning. There are people running, and there are people in an embrace on the lawn. So there's kind of different reactions. So I will read a little bit in this book. Her book, look at this book. It's extensive. It's an incredible book. So, how do I escape my supposed kidnapping? This looks very sexual as well. Nurturer of coins, Kem Min Kemu. It's kind of a, although it looks very masculine, obviously, it's, you know, that it looks like a pottery wheel or something there with the form of the man, but the position of it makes it look quite phallic, as is the hat or crown or whatever is on his head. So to me it has kind of got an empress kind of a quality. So that's really interesting. And then what, I'm going to shuffle and spread again, or maybe this is it. Loci. Oh my goodness. Loci for the moon. This would be the training. Let's say training or initiation. Oh my lord. So much for something simple. Maybe that's why I don't use this deck a lot. Arrows, Awakening of Wands, which it would be the Ace. Oh, it's not. It's Awakening of Wands must be the Page. And she puts the quartz in the back. There's cups. Swords. Oh, there's some wands. Awakening. Whoops. Where'd it go? Oh, she puts all of the pages together, then all of the knights. Awakening of Wands. Eros, Cupid. I'm not going to read a lot about the myths. I mean, she just is incredible. You can tell that she was in graduate school. She was a scholar when she did this. So first she has the mythology, and then she has as above, gods and symbols, and then she says so below, divinatory meanings. Oh my goodness, and then the keywords. Maybe I'll just read the keywords. Or we'll be here for a long time. Because even the so below is 1, 2, 3, 4 hefty paragraphs. So lust, passion, firecracker, unpredictable, tempestuous, short fuse, tantrums, childish, foul you know what? It sounds a lot like my dogs. Dogs and cats. Obsession, uncontrollable, raw energy. I wouldn't say they're uncontrollable. I will back off from that. And they don't really have short fuses. Raw passion, primal lust, burgeoning sexuality, short attention span, mischief, practical jokes, discovery of power. So how interesting. So escaping, nurturer of coins. If this does represent kind of the animal energy around me, if I think of, say, this dog that I brought into my life as, which is quite a stretch, Cupid or Eros, or, you know, an attractive, well, I won't even say that. I'll say an opportunity to love. Let's say that. It's really, obviously it's not sexual. And he's been neutered, so it's exceptionally not sexual. So it's not even for him, it's not even sexual. So I lost my train of thought. So if this is them, then I can see awakening of wands, kind of like awakening of excitement, you know, coming out of kind of a trapped, depressive state, and building relationships, relationship with the world, relationship with human beings. I took him to visit the person who takes care of my animals when I'm away, relationships with other dogs that we meet. So interesting in that regard, but new and very reactionary about a lot of things. And then we have Kemin Kenu, the nurturer of coins, which would be the queen of coins, as the solution to the kidnapping. You know, in other words, I have been kidnapped by Cupid. In other words, this animal that has come into my life, I've had to focus a lot of attention on, and have had to work things around. And to me, that nurturer of coins, in which you control or create an environment conducive to nurturing and protection and things of that nature, that calms the Cupid. That calms the Cupid. And it is, so it's a solution. It's not an escape, it's a solution. So even without reading it, just the whole idea, the nurturer of coins, it makes a lot of sense. And being very grounded in my interactions with him. But let's go ahead and check out the nurturers. There's the questers. She calls the knights questers. I'm especially curious about the loci and the moon. Oh, what happened? I went to Masters. I went from the there it is. This is the ram-headed Egyptian deity of fertility. Fertility both of the land and of humans. So it is a male, it is like a male empress, kind of. It is sitting in the black mud of the Nile. It's explaining the picture. After the yearly inundation in which the Nile waters flood the valley and deposit fertilizing silt and alluvium into the earth. He is known variously as Kem, Min, Amsu, Kemnu, and Knum. Anyway, so let's look at the divinatory meaning. The nurturer of coins embodies both the elements of water, nurture, and earth coins, giving us the fertile and life-giving power of earth. Earth is barren until it receives water, and water cannot nurture the earth unless it has been given the necessary minerals from the earth to make the earth fertile in the first place. So keywords. So again, she gets into a lot of detail there, and a lot of kind of theoretical stuff. Keywords: abundance, nourishment, sustenance, childbirth, children, fertility, the land, nature, Mother Earth, home comforts, nursing, care, health, food, physical needs, physical healing, helping others, practicality, first aid, sustainable lifestyle, ecology. So that's, I do. It's like my life has become dogs. It's interesting because when I had the brat cat, Ali the brat cat, yes, there were issues there. But I didn't feel like my life was being taken over. And not necessarily in a bad way, because he is helping me get out and walk and, kind of embrace my own physical recovery. Taking it a step further. So we're looking now at what kind of training would be important for my personal development. Oh, here she doesn't have the divinatory meaning. Oh yes, she does. Keywords: deception, deceit, trickery, fraud, shape-shifting. That's an interesting suggestion given the situation. Flux, emotions, fantasy, illusion, imagination, fear, confusion, secrecy, lies, half-truths, distraction, chaos, enchantment, intuition, instinct. I think it's more like shape-shifting, enchantment, intuition, instinct, in terms of the animal's instincts, or in how they function to create a lack of ease or a lack of comfort. Tides, water, romance, flirting, seduction. And I can even see seduction and flirting in terms of, for example, the fact that his head banged my lip, as I explained in another video. That was in an attempt to get him to play, an invitation to play, to relax, to not be quite so concerned about what's going on and who's doing what, and am I sure that this person's going to be friendly. And so he was getting relaxed and rambunctious, more so than I realized. His head came up and banged me in the lip. Okay, so it's in a reading. The moon cards can indicate deception and fraud. And to me that isn't a strong meaning of the moon. It's more uncertainty because you can't see clearly. And that somebody is keeping something from the querent. It suggests that the querent isn't being told the whole truth and instead is only being given the bits that best suit another person's interests. And I mean, I can see that in this situation. Of course, animals are, at least to begin with, can be, I don't think it's consciously deceitful, but they are going to be careful and try to maneuver things into, to protect themselves. But what's kind of coming across to me here is the idea of, well, a couple of things. Number one, the moon is a light in the dark. So being a light in the dark, if this animal goes through a dark period, to be a light to help this, to be a guide, to shed light that will make him more comfortable as he moves on. Or in other words, maybe I need training to help with that, or to help other people because I've thought about giving dog training, I can't even call it classes, to make myself available for dog training sessions. I have experience from a long time ago, so I'm not sure how well I'd be. So maybe it's telling me I need to go back into my past and brush up on animal training. But to me, it's also about, the moon is about having the courage to go forward in the dark, to go forward without knowing. That's why you need the intuition, right? You need to go forward without knowing. This card also points to a different time for the current, when they will find themselves unsure as to where they should be going. They will feel lost, confused, and in the dark, and they may have been distracted from their spiritual path. However, on a more positive note, the moon may indicate somebody who transgresses boundaries and uses confusion to raise issues or make a point. That's, I think, where Loki comes in, or Loki, however you want to say his name. They are not all they seem, but this does not necessarily mean they have bad intentions. Often this card simply suggests that the faces people show to the world are not their true selves, and that their true selves are much more fluid and hidden. Sometimes it takes somebody willing to bend the rules slightly to draw the hidden out from its confinement. Perhaps the current's best approach to the situation at this time is to let their wild side loose for a while, follow their intuition and instincts, and bend the rules. So again, I can see, so if I'm dealing with a dog that is easily frightened, a big dog that is scary looking to a lot of people, so his appearance is deceiving. His appearance is deceiving. When dogs are fearful, their behaviors are deceiving and designed, they're trying to give an impression of fierceness in order to protect themselves, and often it's motivated by fear, etc., etc. So, in terms of, what kind of training or education would be beneficial to me, or an important step for personal development, it is saying training, I think, in regards to seeing past present behaviors, kind of maladaptive, maybe properly adaptive in the past, but not in relation to me, maladaptive behaviors, or most people even, so that the animal can be rehabilitated, brought into human society, which is where a domestic animal is going to end up, and needs to be comfortable there. So I will probably read a little bit more on these. I'm being taken over by dogs. Maybe I should be looking. Maybe I will, actually. I might even look into that. Look into how long this takeover will last. But anyway, so there it is. This weekend's readings have been very dog-oriented for me. My interpretations of them for me have been very focused on the animals. So everybody, happy St. Paddy's Day. I hope you had a lovely time. I hope you weren't faced with the situation I was faced with, in that I have no green clothing to wear. That's right. I think I have one very old sweater that I wasn't going to get out and wear today. But I have no green clothing. I think I have a scarf that has green in it. I think I have a ring that has a little green stone in it. But green stone's over there. But I had a greenless St. Paddy's Day. So take care, everybody, and I will be back for an Aries reading. And information about the elaborate Aries readings I have available, or I'm going to have, don't yet, going to have available on my website shortly. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.